I don't know. You know what? If you're listening to the MP3 this week, we had an internet issue, and so we disconnected, and now we're jumping back in. So sorry if you hear something twice.
Short run, Skarner's Fracture got buffed by 15% flat across all ranks. So it's a 15% higher slow on his E, and they basically reduced the mana cost on his Q, making it more easy to spam. So they just reduced the cost of mana on his Q by 4 across all ranks. There's Skarner for you.
Pretty much. I
feel like we were on a roll.
Better mana management and a thicker slow, so you can close. You can probably close and get next to them while you slow now, instead of throwing it and then them coming out of it.
And if Riot doesn't feel like that was a big enough buff, they'll end up tweaking something else. They said they were thinking about doing a tweak where if you land the slow on somebody, hitting them with your Q might actually lengthen the slow. Which was something a fan had wrote in on one of Riot. Somebody wrote it on Riot's forums, and one of the mods, one of the Rioters, actually really liked it. The guy working on Skarner's design thought it was a really good idea, so they might be looking at that if they don't feel like this is enough power spike for the character.
Wonder if that'd be too much of a power spike. Well, maybe not, because
it would turn his Q into what it is before. It's just you have to land your E on them first.
Right. I'm not upset with that, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the idea of him being able to stick to somebody and slow them permanently.
I feel like that's just his job. I don't know.
Either way, it puts him in a weird place, because if you give him the ability that you're talking about, well, now he has a range slow and also can stick to somebody, and so it is not fun to play against Skarner. Like I almost worry that'll just put him to ban status, because this is a champion that's really, really difficult to kill no matter how you build him. You could probably build him full AD and Skarner's still not gonna die. Like that's really his job. He's almost a tank more than he is anything else.
He is a tank. That's why you can get like a Trinity Force on it. Like
you can build whatever you want on Skarner and he just doesn't die.
You can build 2 damage items and the rest tanky, and he'll be completely fine. Whereas like Hecarim, if you build one ability power and still be tanky,
and still be tanky as hell.
I saw somebody tweet the other day that Athenes on Skarner, not a good idea. Did not work out like he expected.
I wouldn't do Athenes on him, but if you got like a Rod
of Ages.
Oh yeah,
5 Rods of Ages.
Just all the ability power and health. Never run out of mana. Have like 1,000 HP shield. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, your shield's huge. You've got all the health. Yeah,
and you're hitting like a truck with your abilities. I kind of want to do that.
I knew that was coming. This is my fault. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm sorry. No, I wasn't here.
Or what? Literal last week.
What?
A friend of mine did, he has a weird AP tanky build, and it's like that's what he's pissed off about, is because that affected the way his build works now, because he can't stick to things.
Sorry, I made myself giggle.
God damn it.
You love those little anarchy faces, don't you?
Made myself giggle. Okay, so Teemo finally getting a nerf, and this is what we have been talking about for weeks. Even before C9 had played Teemo, I think we have mentioned that he needed some kind of change because
of vision, yeah.
Because the vision change made him overpowered. I like this change making him so. I think this makes him less reliant on AP, and he can go back to being an AD bruiser Teemo. We might see a small resurgence of it.
Marksman Teemo coming back to the bot lane.
I would agree with you just in the fact that now AP Teemo isn't so powerful that's
not as desirable.
Yeah,
but that's the only way to go, you know.
Right.
Is Dom froze for anybody else? And there we go. Man, internet connection issues like crazy tonight. This is great.
Is that yours? Yours died or just Dom?
No, it's Dom's.
It's just Dom.
Oh.
We don't even need him.
Nightbot's upset, man.
Nightbot is not happy with episode 139.
Satan Nightbot.
God, I hope this doesn't get a lot of listens this week. Just don't download the pod. Just don't download 139. Wait till 140. We're gonna sit and wait for Dom to come back, because let's give this guy 20 seconds.
Hey Adam, there's an issue with your call. I can see it on the stream.
Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, I can see that too. There's a problem with this call.
And if anybody else likes Dom's shirt, feel free to email us and tell him how much you like it.
Carly Rae Jepsen's awesome.
Yep. Look at how proud he is of that shirt.
I just realized that if my internet went down, they would just see a giant picture of Bernie Mac.
Yep.
Yeah, we must be getting DDoS tonight. That's what's going on. First Dom, now then me. Dom still hasn't texted me though, so. Oh wait, there's a Dom message. Now my internet died. Just gonna let my audio run. I'll rejoin when I can. All right, I guess we'll keep going then.
All right, sounds good.
So, Teemo.
Teemo, we pretty much covered it. His trap is going from 0.8 ability power ratio to 0.5, so that's a pretty hefty nerf.
Okay, 44.
We'll see what happens.
This is gonna be a son of a bitch of a podcast to put together.
Like I said, I do not,
You don't envy me for having to do this.
I do not envy your job at all.
I don't like the fear change.
I hate the fear change. I hate it.
For Nocturne, you mean?
For Fiddlesticks, yeah, because I like playing mid-turn. But no, for Fiddlesticks, especially Fiddlesticks, who relies on a champion
Break
being
you out of your tether.
somewhere near you.
They did increase the tether range, but
That's nice, but
by 100, which is actually not too bad.
it's
Still, but it's the same
cast range.
same length that it can break, but the cast range was increased. So I'm sorry, the tether range is the same, but he can cast it from a little bit further away to start it off. So.
It did increase the tether range, but
Josh is
He was supposed to mute his mic. I added him to the call just so he could fix the layout, but the layout's not fixed because now DeClaude is D. Chironi.
Oh, DeClaude, when did you learn to dress so nice?
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, I don't like the change to any of the fear abilities just because, like, I don't know. I don't like... The thing with fear that made it helpful was that sometimes it would screw up and run people to you, run people away from them, run people into walls, whatever. Now it's just going to run them away from you all the time, and that can very often be exactly what you don't want to happen. I don't know. I understand they don't like the RNG aspect with fear, but I don't necessarily agree with people getting feared and then running away from the champion every single time you use it.
No, I prefer the champion to. I would much rather it be. I like the RNG factor, but RNG is hard to code into a video game because, like, with crit and crit is. All right, let me take this back. Riot has been removing RNG slowly. They removed dodge, for example, and that was very RNG related. I don't know. There was another one that I'm trying to think of. They just recently removed. I think Dom would be able to tell me if he could, if he jumped into the call.
If we had a Dom.
Right. But they've been slowly removing RNG, so this is another way for them to get rid of RNG. I think the only one they will not remove is crit. And that's all because that's always been something in every, since Dungeons and Dragons, which you've had in a game.
RPG genre.
Right. You can't necessarily move crit because once you remove crit, you get rid of 80 carries, and there's pretty much no reason to have an 80 carry at that point anymore because the attack damage scaling champions are not going to do any more damage than an AP.
That being said, I would have been happier if they would have just made it so that fear acted like a root or even a stun, or just kept them in place where they, again, like you said earlier, throw their hands in the air and spin in a circle without moving. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think that always running away from the person is the right way to go with this.
I want to say right now, rip Fiddlesticks. Like,
I don't know.
You're not going to see. I don't think you're going to see a jungle Fiddlesticks anymore.
Just because of that, no, I don't think so. I think they made it more consistent, so now you can. There's some strategy to things. You ult somebody. You try to ult yourself, so you're behind someone, and you can fear them towards your team. I don't know. I don't think it's
maybe
that
if you're
bad.
Good at Fiddlesticks, then you got Josh playing him.
Well, you got to be good at Fiddlesticks. Yeah. Oh, I think he's really good at jungle Fiddlesticks, but the Nocturne one is worrisome because usually you use it while you're chasing somebody and they're trying to break the tether and then they're feared and they come running back at you and you're Nocturne like, haha, I'm going to eat your face now. Now it's you hit them with that fear, they break the tether and they're running away from you.
Yeah, but now I can't play I can't play not middle sticks. I can't play mid-turn because anytime I got the fear, they're gonna run toward the tower, and now they're gonna be one step closer to the tower.
Now you're gonna have to flash fear.
I mean, if anything, you're just gonna have to. People will have to start
before the tether finishes.
People will have to start positioning better.
Right.
And you won't necessarily even use fear offensively anymore. You might be using it strictly defensively just because they're going to be running away from you anyway.
That's a very good point.
And if you fear somebody that your team's trying to focus and they run away from you, or they run back to their team or whatever, you might be hurting the team with the fear. So again, I see fear being almost more of a defensive cooldown kind of CC rather than an offensive one. No.
Unless you position it properly.
That's a really good point, though, is now that there is more, now that there's less RNG to it, there's more ways to control what is going on with the fear, and now you can make the fear move in the direction that you want it to move into. You can make the person, you have control of the person at this point. It's pretty much like a mind control, but you're putting yourself into a
you're putting yourself into a disadvantageous position to put them in a disadvantageous position.
Or an advantageous position for your team.
Right.
If you're using it right offensively, but like you said,
at that point it almost becomes like an Urgot ult, but a mini one, and not as good.
Now defensively, it's a lot better, obviously. So it's like, oh crap, they're coming at me. Throw a quick fear. Now they're moving away from me, and I gain
instead
even
of
more
running on the other side, like in between you and
yeah, exactly. You fear him, and he's still chasing you. You're like, no, damn it. But Nocturne, he's just such an offensive jump on your face and eat you champion. It's more like a nerf for him.
Hey, welcome back, friend.
Hey,
there he is.
At Josh and then kick him.
Yeah,
Yep.
but Josh took up the space, so the live stream did not look funny.
Yeah, except I took over your window.
Well, thanks, Dom, for showing up to the Trinity Force podcast
Dom,
shit
it's
show.
almost 9 o'clock. Thanks for showing up.
Sorry about that. Was
Nightbot is on a killing spree right now.
Yeah, he's just banning all of us left and right.
All right, so we've already talked about Doran's Shield. We've talked about the
support items,
but we have not talked about the Spirit Stone nerf. Spirit Stone items. And this is another hit to like Jungle Gragas, where your the Butcher passive health restore and mana restore has been nerfed.
You know what? I'm okay with these nerfs that keep coming to Gragas in other ways, because he's already amazing in the current state of the game. He doesn't also need to be a good jungler. Like, I'm sorry. He doesn't need to be able to do everything, people.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's an argument here for them killing AP champions. I think this is a stealth nerf to Elise, is what it is.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
And
Good. She's also really strong.
Yeah, well,
you gotta get.
But she's been
give up your food.
Elise has been getting nerfs since she came out, which depresses.
When a champion is really good, they end up needing to nerf that champion. That's how it works.
They did this in Season 2, though, because they redid the jungle, and then they started to nerf the fuck out of it until we got to the boring junglers, and all the fun top lanes came back. Now we're headed that way, the same way again, because Olaf and Jax and Tryndamere and Aatrox and Rumble, all the fun top laners are coming back.
Good. Why are you complaining?
I'm not. I'm just looking at Chira and laughing, because he's going to have to go back to a moo-moo.
I fuck a moo-moo. I'll just start picking up AP
Put your
Skarner.
passive utility, health/mana restore, is no longer halved for area effect spells. So does that help
that's actually
a little bit?
that's fine. That actually is a buff to Elise, in my opinion. Because so basically the way this is going to work now is if you used any AoE ability in the jungle, you only got half of the damage dealt back in health or mana. Now you're going to get the full amount back. The full amount of the 6% and 3% respectively.
It's great for Sejuani.
But yeah, no, again, that increases Sejuani's ability to move through the jungle. It'll actually I almost said it would help Maokai out, and it would help Maokai out, except, it's not going to improve any issue he had other than keep him with mana. But it's just anybody
higher on, like I've been doing some reading, and it sounds like he's higher on people's lists of champions that are good in the jungle than you might think.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Give him a try, see what happens.
I feel like Munda's going to be removed from top lane and go right to jungle now.
He could. Now that his W, you can just keep it up and always get health back for the damage done. He's
always been good in the jungle.
It'll probably be a wash for the amount of damage his W does, for the amount of health it returns back with that item.
Until you get your health regen items.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't really see any reason to put Mundo in the top lane anymore with all these nerfs, like especially the Doran Shield nerf. That was one of the reasons he was big. Masteries being changed, Perseverance, all that. He can still do it. But
Well, now he can just go into the jungle and be safe until he hits 6.
that's what I'm
where
saying.
he's back to the
You
unkillable
can go in
point.
the jungle, go be safe, just pick some safe laners, pick a aggressive top lane. Again, the ones I named off before that are going to win lane and, make it work. Do work.
I do like that Riot said, looked at it and said, like, all of these things made Mundo a problem, and it wasn't necessarily Mundo himself who was a problem. They looked at and balanced, accordingly, and that hopefully addresses it. I mean, he might still have some ridiculous elements about him. I feel like all the bonus AD he gets is out of hand, but that's just me.
100 bonus AD hit.
Oh my god, he gets a ridiculous amount of AD.
And they're over here not nerfing Gragas properly. I don't know.
Cast it in.
Hey, look, we spent the entire show talking about patch notes and not doing listener questions.
Yeah, we still have more patch notes to talk about. How about the boots and mobility changes?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm
I
alright
think-
with it too.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't think I'd be buying them as often now.
I barely buy him anyway.
I don't think they're very good in solo queue anymore, and it's going to take a while for that to trickle down. I was never a big fan of them in solo queue because, unless I went in with the intent to heavily roam, but then you had to communicate that. So many marksmen are just
Junglers,
not
though.
capable. But
It's
I'm
for
not
junglers.
talking junglers. It's for both. The
They're
rationale
mainly
was,
designed for junglers.
but
I
mostly
think.
supports have been buying them. Like, supports have been buying them for a long time. And because the rationale was that there's nothing more valuable than another person being at a fight. And so that's why supports would get them, so that they could quickly leave
Right.
bottom lane and get
You
to a
would
skirmish
get it on
jungle,
like
get to mid lane
Alistair
or
and
whatever.
Janna and just
Right,
move
definitely
fast and
Alistar.
make a huge difference.
Yeah. Even Leona. I mean,
Right.
all supports have been buying them. Like, if you watch the LCS games, they're pretty much like 98% of the tier 2 boots purchased are boots and mobility. And it's because there's simply nothing more valuable than having another person at a fight and attempting to swing the advantage for your
I
team.
wonder if they should have reduced the cost a little more. Maybe we made it 700, 750 gold for the total cost rather than 800, because you're gambling with these, because you're getting the same movement as base boots of swiftness.
That's what they want. They want it to be a gamble.
Right, but that's why I think I don't know if 800 gold total is still worth that gamble.
I don't see many people.
I don't
buying
think it
these.
is, but I never really thought it was worth the gamble.
What,
I
even with
said-
the 45?
I run a lot of movement speed in my runes and masteries. I get a lot from there. So I was always of the mind that I am better served by getting either cooldown reduction, armor, or magic resistance, and in some cases, magic pen. I always wanted the hard, reliable stats because I get a lot of movement speed from my runes and masteries, which is also hard and reliable. It wasn't like conditional based on whether or not I'd taken damage. That was always my justification for it. I understood why people got boots of mobility. I preferred not to.
With what they've done with boots of mobility now, honestly, any time that I would feel like I would want them, I'm just going to immediately gravitate toward getting boots of swiftness and just ignoring 30% slow, like
That
having
was-
a 30% reduction on slow in the fights anyway.
That was something I wondered right when they posed this change. It's like, okay, so now you've just made them
Boots of
basically-
swiftness just got better.
Yeah, boots of swiftness, and it's not like those are expensive anymore. They're like
No.
what, 1,000 gold total?
It is 1,000, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
1,000.
really not that bad. I guess
Those are my go-to boots for a lot of
attacks
people
boots
nowadays.
are really the only just super cheap. Oh, and Ninja Tabby.
Yeah, they're the two cheap
But
ones.
like
They're the
Spell Pen,
cheapest too.
CDR, those are pretty expensive.
The Ionian boot changes didn't go through in this patch. They were.
It did not. I was just gonna say that I thought they made them cheaper, or had less CDR and cheaper.
They
but-
It was supposed to
reduced
go-
the
It was
CDR.
supposed to go down 5%, but they didn't hit this patch. So
Which is fine because I think they've also been talking about an underlying issue with CDR, and I mean Adam knows this. It's been something I've quietly talked about. I think there's way too much CDR available from items in the current state of the game. But that's me.
there's not enough. I don't think there's enough little pieces of CDR where you can.
Yeah,
get
it's
5%
basically just huge chunks of CDR available.
Right,
There's
I
a couple
agree. You're
10% items, and then
always
aside
making a decision like, oh, I'm going to go over the cap if I get this. So, yeah, might as
but
well
it's
get something
really
else.
it's really easy to buy 2 CDR items and then still like get the types of stats that you're looking for.
Well, for the
Spirit
most
Well,
part,
doesn't
a lot of
support hit CDR max after one big item. I feel like you're 35-40% after, if you're full utility.
It's difficult to, like, I honestly just don't spend a lot of time worrying about CDR, but that's because it's like more often than not I'm buying items specific, like for a specific reason, and it's not for the CDR, because I'm buying Talisman of Ascension, and that has 20% CDR on it. So at that point, I just stop carrying.
That's what I'm saying. Once you got that 20%, don't you start with 15% or something like that out of the utility
I don't know.
tree?
You start with a high number. You're correct. There is a lot of CDR, but it's like I'm not. If Frozen Heart is the right call for my team, it's the right counter to the enemy team,
Sure.
I'm not going to not buy Frozen Heart just because I'll go over the CDR.
Well,
cap.
that's not.
Yeah,
that wasn't
exactly.
my point. My point is just like supports have gotten so much better this season, and people don't realize how much CDR you're getting in the game. Even if you are going, what would have been 60%, you're still, you get 40% after one big key item for the most part with CDR on a support.
Yeah, you definitely get really like 30%, if not 30%, close to it.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there are support players who run cooldown reduction in their runes because they want that additional CDR early in the game. I have a CDR page. I don't think I've used it ever.
Not really any reason to. Shit, with all the changes, there's no reason to run gold per 10 anymore. Those quints are dead.
I don't run gold 10 anymore.
Yeah, all that. So
I used to always run support
I run health.
CDR on my supports, but after the changes 3.14, just nope.
no reason
need.
to run any of that anymore. Now it's just run pretty much pure tank.
MR.
Resistance or hybrid pen.
Right, exactly. I was gonna say
Or
either you're running. Oh, you're gonna go 30 pen?
All ability power on Annie.
No, I don't
That's
do
it.
that.
Just nothing but ability power.
Fun story when I first played this game a couple years ago, and I think I was podcasting at this point. Was I podcasting or I was just starting to podcast? I had a page that was 30 AD. No armor. I didn't understand the value of armor runes. I didn't understand the value of MR runes. I had an AD page that I read.
damage.
It was 30 flat AD.
Back
Nice.
in the day, my buddy, he had I think it was just a full attack speed page that he used for Kale.
Yeah, why not? 15%, 30% attack speed. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, he was king of getting level 2 first blood with Kale. Like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who he was up against. Guaranteed, he'd hit level 2
That's
first
my
blood.
top off. My top
Nice.
off, baby. You should
Top laner.
You should see how many top lane level 2 kills I got this
I
weekend.
used to use full crit pages for Trinity.
He ran.
Back
This
in
guy.
the
This
day.
guy also
Nothing
ran
but crit.
full AD.
Nothing but
He ran,
crit, 100%.
he ran full AD whenever he played Pantheon, and back like in season 1 or whatever, when everybody was playing Twisted Fate mid, he would just play Pantheon and wreck kids because they were not expecting Pantheon to hit like a freight train at level 1.
So he's playing. So him and DeClaude had a little meeting.
This was, but this was also before Pantheon like got his rework that made him actually usable to most players.
If you
Back there in the
Google
8
search,
second, or no, however the hell long that Pantheon drop time was.
yeah, it was forever. It was hard as hell to hit. If you search in the League forums, just for my name, I had so many suggestions because we talked about a suggestion that Ride and Play actually saw and liked. So many suggestions in the early days about Pantheon a few years ago for changes to his Heartseeker strike and things like that, and to make his Myrmidon Pantheon skin look less bright yellow, things like that too. So, but some things were changed, and I like the direction they took with Pantheon. But unfortunately, some things haven't been addressed. So,
Right.
but we'll see. Now he's getting in the limelight again, so he's probably gonna get some unwanted attention.
I don't think he will. I think what they'll do is start changing how the jungle works, and that'll drop him out of favor. Kind of like what they're doing to Elise. Like it's like that. It's that stealth. The stealth nerf to Elise that isn't really that big of a nerf, but
That's kind of a stealth nerf to Pantheon too.
I don't know why they
fair
would
stuff.
need to nerf Pantheon. It's not like he's winning every single game. He decides some games, but I feel like the games that he decides is because the person playing him did a really good job. It wasn't.
I
It
haven't
wasn't
felt like there's
Pantheon, it
anything
was-
there with Pantheon that needs a nerf. Like his Q isn't hitting
True.
harder than I expect. Like nothing.
Look
in
at the
this.
LCS games, like the one where Nintendo Dex just totally bombed it. And he had that day, I think, who else did terrible on Pantheon? They were disgracing the art of war, and I was upset. But
Yeah,
Pantheon,
some people play him really well and other people
he can be
don't.
played-
But like
exactly.
that's where you want a champion to be. Like I think he's fine. He's
Right.
And just looking at his rates right now, 49.75% win rate. That's where you want a champion to be. And then a dude's getting.
Yeah, half and half.
He's got a 17.5% pick rate. He's showing up in a lot of games. To be right around 50% is pretty much where you want him to be. I don't think he needs to be nerfed or buffed in any way.
Sure.
He's a little risky and scary to play sometimes, even for me as my main, because if it gets too much into the late game, he does fall off
Yeah, we've
because
talked
he's
about
not
that
tanky
though.
enough,
He's
yeah.
early mid game, level 6 dominant.
Yeah, you gotta push for the win early. So
6 and 11 dominant. Anyway, I know we're probably a little under an hour, but with all the issues and everything, I want to get some ranked in here. So let's get Victor on board and let's stream some
Works
ranked
for me.
fives for these guys.
all right, let's do it.
So guys, thanks for listening to episode number 139 of Trinity Force Podcast. Sorry if the MP3 was a little off this week, and
Thanks for bearing with us.
thank you for bearing
Thank you
with
for
us.
sticking around.
That's right. Other than that, guys, listen to the bumper and write us emails. We'll see you next week.
We love
See
you.
you then, everybody.